This is your one and only warning to skedaddle. We will be talking about the 2012 TMNT series, the ROTTMNT series, obviously, and then the ROTTMNT movie. Also, I feel, obviously. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a cartoon that was developed and executive produced by Andy Suriano and Ant Ward, starting in 2018 and ending with 2 seasons and a movie released on August 5th of 2022. Due to its untimely beginning and being a large departure from the incredibly popular 2012 series before it, it failed to live up to what the fans had hoped for and turned many of them away, ultimately leading to it ending 5 seasons short. However, during its short runtime, it managed to create a world unlike any other that we've seen from this franchise since its creation almost 30 years ago. This led to a series that was known for its unlucky beginnings, cancellation, and late rise to stardom. Rise was announced on March 2nd of 2017, only 8 months before the end of the 2012 series. This, of course, had some downsides that would negatively affect the show when it came out, but that's something that we'll have to come back to later. For now, I would like to focus on the absolutely disastrous reception to the design reveals when they started coming out in early 2018. Starting with the best of the bunch, let's go over the 4 turtles themselves. Most people didn't have an issue with the turtles' designs, with the only main recurring gripe being Raph's size. People would constantly joke about how he's now the size of a refrigerator because he was just so much bigger than the rest of the cast. This was due to a choice that the creators made while designing the characters. The 4 brothers had most typically been assumed to have all been based off of red-eared sliders in the past, but this time each one of the turtles was their own unique breed. Leonardo stayed as a red-eared slider, this time sporting the iconic stripes that gave them their name. Michelangelo, as the youngest and smallest of the bunch, is a box turtle. Donatello is a spiny soft-shell turtle, which, combined with his obsession over tech, would lead to him eventually creating and typically wearing a battle shell throughout the series. Now on to the thing that actually matters about the type of turtle that they each are, and how it relates to Raph being the size of a fridge. At the largest, one of the previously listed turtles could be 11, maybe 12 inches long, while male alligator snapping turtles, the kind of turtle that Rise's Raphael is, average 26 inches in shell length. That is over double the size of the rest of the turtles, so imagine what the complaints would have looked like if he was true to scale. The reveals of our other 2 main characters were not near as merciful. This in large part is due to something that TMNT fans seem to be incapable of remembering, which is that the original version of April O'Neil was based on April Fisher, who was Kevin Eastman's girlfriend at the time of creating the comics. And why does that matter? Because April Fisher is not white, and guess what? Neither was April in the original comics. Now, I do believe this argument is a little disingenuous. According to CBR, as I do not have the book myself, it says that in the 2002 TMNT autobiography by Kevin Eastman, one of the creators of the Turtles, said that April was originally created as an Asian character in Peter Laird's notes, but named after an African-American woman he once knew. While Laird said that, as the co-creator of the character of April O'Neil, and as someone who has always imagined her as white, and very likely of Irish, Scottish, or English ancestry, he wasn't at all unsettled by the depictions of her as such in the various adaptations. Kevin may have had a different view, and he can't speak for him, but that's the way he always are. As for the coloring of her skin and the color reprints in the Mirage comics, Kevin always had a lot more input on that than he did. And in fact, he's pretty sure that Kevin did a lot of the initial coloring on the reprints of the first comics. Make of that what you will. What I make of it is that these 2 creators had very different ideas for her initially, so there really isn't a correct answer. They're both sort of right and sort of wrong. And at the end of the day, neither of the creators care what people continue to make her as, so I don't really think we should either. This has led to a lifetime of controversy inside the community whenever an April O'Neil who is not white appears, with people always claiming they're race-swapping her just as many people did with this version of April, and the newest Mutant Mayhem version of her as well. It's just infuriating, honestly. Luckily, some people are able to appreciate her new design without claiming it to be race-swapping or woke propaganda. Splinter was not so lucky, to say the least. Some people would be polite, while others absolutely tore him to shreds. Holy. Some people would be polite while others absolutely tore him to shreds. No one liked this design, and if they were not speaking up about it. There really isn't much else to say about it. I personally liked the design, but can understand why others weren't exactly ecstatic about it, especially if they were coming off the design that we got in the 2012 series, which is practically this version's exact opposite. Eventually, the first episode aired with mixed reviews. Many people who were still dealing with the loss of the 2012 series longed for what they had before and couldn't find that here, while others began to ridicule it and compare it to titles such as Teen Titans Go and the 1987 TMNT series, which is infamously unpopular with fans. While I can see how some people made the connection with both Teen Titans Go and Rise taking on a much more kid-friendly appearance than their predecessors, there is something that Rise would learn to embrace that Teen Titans couldn't or just wouldn't really do at all. Rise can let their characters be emotionally vulnerable without it being a part of some larger joke. Every instance in Teen Titans Go that I can think of where a character is emotionally vulnerable to those around them eventually ends in a joke, with this character most typically being Robin. Meanwhile, the only instance of something similar to this happening in Rise that I can think of is in Season 1, Episode 9, Mrs. Cuddles, where they eventually see that Raph was rightfully scared of the rabbit puppet the episode is named after. Other than that, the show has a lot of great emotional moments. Splinter can miss what he used to be and the life he had before his family, and turning into a rat, without being incapable of growing to love what he has now. Raph is allowed to express his emotions when he feels like everything is on him without the other characters laughing in his face, instead comforting him. Leo is capable of growing to know that he has to take responsibility for his actions and won't be able to hide behind his brothers making up for his mistakes all the time, and these are just a few of many, many more examples that I could name. This show is character development, something that Teen Titans Go can't wrap its head around. However, Teen Titans Go is, for the most part, episodic, something that Rise is not. So that alone makes this comparison unfair to bring up no matter which side you're on. As more episodes came out, so too did more critiques, as you would expect. Some of them were fair, but mostly came down to taste, while others were just absolutely bewildering. The first that I listed were a different version of what I've already covered, being that they didn't like the tone change or the animation style, which is completely fair. Early on in the show, they didn't have much to prove that it could be anything but silly adventures. In fact, they even planned for the show to just be one-off episodes until changing it later to, and I quote, a piece some network wants which changed over time. So if you were looking for something with a more serialized plot, you wouldn't see that early on in the show, and that's understandable to be turned away by. But aside from that, all the other complaints were just about things like how all of the turtles have the same personality, and how April is just a stereotypical sassy black girl. I don't know how you managed to come to this conclusion, even if you watched just the first episode. But especially if you watched the first 2 or 3 of them, you have negative reasons to be thinking that way. While the turtles do certainly have similarities in their personalities, you can still easily tell them apart. Leo is the face man, and as such, makes even lamer jokes than the rest of them while trying to act extra cool and show off more often. Raph has a more defined personality than, ever before. He's not just an angry meathead that has the skill of sarcasm. He really cares about his family and isn't afraid to show that, but he also worries about screwing things up, especially when he's under pressure.
I love you, my brother, but you do tend to fail in big moments, pish-posh, but that's what makes you, you.
Donnie's still the tech guy, yeah, but he's more laid back a lot of the time, with certain things that really get to him that we learn about as the series progresses. The series expanded him beyond just the sarcastic guy in the chair, and gave us what is widely considered the best Donatello so far. I will admit that Mikey is still a little flat, but even he gets a bit of expansion once we get later into the show. Instead of just being the younger sibling that gets babied all the time, we get to see how frustrating that is for him, and how he feels like he sometimes needs to be the glue that holds his family together in tough situations. As much as I would absolutely love to go into further detail on all of this, that is not what this video is about. So I will instead recommend that you watch Skulltrot's videos on the subject. They go in depth about certain characters' roles or things that happen to them in the show and movie, and it is, in my opinion, really enjoyable. So if you decide to watch it, I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. That aside, and with everything taken into consideration, I think that it is incredibly oversimplifying their personalities to just describe them all as party dudes. Because yes, they are party dudes sometimes, but there is so much more to them than that you are just deciding to completely overlook by giving them that title. And the same goes for April. If you watch the show and see her standing up for her friends in the first 5 minutes of the first episode and classify her as a stereotypical sassy black girl, then I would deem you a lost cause. Especially if you make it later into the show and still hold that opinion. Along with all of the negatives that the show received early on, there were also those that clung to the material like syrup on pancakes. The emotional and physical closeness of the main cast, the fact that April wasn't a love interest or damsel in distress, and the tone change that the other side hated really spoke to them. In no other iteration has the main cast outright said that they love each other as much as they do in Rise, nor have they been this physically affectionate. However, it feels like it was really needed to show that they are brothers that care about each other and aren't just roommates that happen to be related. You can tell the writers really went the extra distance to show just how much these characters really care about each other throughout the series, because it's blatantly obvious every time you see them on screen. It's also incredibly refreshing to see a version of April that's treated like a part of the family instead of one of their crushes. To my knowledge, and from what I could find, this seems to be one of the only instances where one of the turtles hasn't had a crush on her. It's Leo in Mutant Mayhem, Mikey in the Bayverse, Donnie in the 2012 series. Donnie also seemingly has one on her in the 2003 series, but it depends on how you read it, and the list just goes on. Having her be treated like she's a part of the family is just so much better in almost every way. It takes away the awkwardness that you feel every time you see her, because you know one of the turtles is going to be throwing goo-goo eyes at her, and replaces that ooey-gooey crush with the warm familial love instead. A feeling that even spreads to Splinter. Another thing that the show is praised for is its animation. This is another thing that you would have to watch a little bit more of the show for, as the earlier episodes are a bit stiffer in some areas, but if you do manage to get there, the show easily has the best fight sequences and animation that we've seen in any TMNT media thus far. My recommendation for you, if you have any complaints about the show, is to just keep watching. It genuinely gets so much better and really lives up to all the hype if you just watch far enough. Sometimes within even the first few episodes, you'll see a lot of your problems solved. Like all things, the show did eventually have to come to an end, even if it wasn't how it was originally planned. But let's start by getting one thing clear. The show was never officially cancelled, but instead put on what they called a hard pause. Yeah, so no one really knew what was going on. The episodes were being released like usual, and then people saw the names of the two newest episodes about to come out. Finale Part 1, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Finale Part 2, Shreddy or Not. Finale Part 3, Anatawa Hitori Janai. And finale Part 4, Rise. Theories began spreading like wildfire, with some people thinking that they were going to end this series and then create a new one with the same cast, just titled Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, as a way to show how the characters had grown, especially since a lot of the marketing for the finale was labeling it as an event or special. But to the dismay of all those that loved the show, and those that had put so much heart into creating it, this was the end. Due to poor merchandise sales and poor marketing, the show would go from getting 2 26-episode-length seasons to 1 26-episode-length season and a half. The finale, as rushed as it was, still came out to be something terrific in its own right, with the beautiful animation and emotions that the show had come to be known for at an all-time high. But with that, Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was gone for good, lived on through the memories of all those that loved it. Or so we thought. The movie was something else, coming out of seemingly nowhere and absolutely blowing everyone's socks off. The movie was an undeniable success on all accounts. That is, unless you're one of the stubborn people that refuse to even try it out. A lot of people that had seen the show and decided that it wasn't for them still decided to watch it, and had to give the movie its props, because even if they didn't like what it was inspired by, they could appreciate it for being genuinely good. Some people couldn't let go of the 2012 series for a second to enjoy the movie. Instead, they had to keep on with their comments to needlessly hate on it and the show as a whole, but despite what they thought, it was a great movie. To start, this movie hopped on the bandwagon early for the resurgence of adding some light cursing into children's media.
We still got a ninja's greatest weapon. Hope. That and a badass mystic warrior.
This is something that is becoming more and more common in PG and TVY7 films, a very popular example being 2023's Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Personally, I'm all for it. It stands for parental guidance for a reason, so it might as well be used appropriately. Besides, it wouldn't make any sense to have the grading system go from something that has no swearing at all to something that's allowed to have the F-bomb dropped once in the US. Aside from that, they also managed to make the Krang physically look like a threat instead of the usual brain stuck outside of its body ordeal. Not only are they huge, but they're fast, spread like an infection, and are powerful. So powerful, in fact, that the first time that we see them, they take down the entire team with basically no problem. This is a threat that will continue to terrify the characters and audience alongside them throughout the entirety of the movie. And the thing is, they only get scarier the longer they're on screen. They start to infect the members of the Foot Clan like a zombie horde, and by the end of the movie when they put on their suits, things are looking pretty grim for the cast. Obviously we know they're gonna win. It's a movie, and that's what happens in movies. But you would be a liar if you said that you weren't worried about the outcome for at least Leo in the end. This movie also had a character that is sort of new and sort of not. If you watched the entirety of the show, which I would hope you would have if you're watching this video, then you would know that this series' version of Casey Jones was Cassandra Jones, a Foot Clan soldier who gets rehabilitated throughout the course of the series. But we're not talking about her. We're talking about Casey Jones Jr. I say that he's sort of new because as far as I'm aware, there hasn't been a Casey Jones Jr. in any other series, but he still technically has the title of Casey Jones. He functions as a large driver of the plot, being the one that initially tells the team what is going to happen in the future and how they can stop it. He also drives a lot of the team's character development, but especially Leo's. The two experience a lot of conflict throughout the film as they don't always see things eye to eye, and because the Leo that we know isn't the greatest ninja of all time that Casey has gotten used to, but instead a bit of a screw-up. With Raph being out of the photo the majority of the film, he works as a bit of a stand-in, as Raph is usually one that is pushing Leo to be better and is constantly butting heads with him. It's a really interesting relationship to see develop, since Leo is often stuck with the two people that he blames most for Raph's absence, and Casey is stuck with a lesser version of the Leo that he knows, and turns out to be a large part of what turns him into the greatest ninja of all time. The animation in the movie was also a definite sight to behold, as it was even better than what we got from the finale of the show. It was a treat to look at every second, from the lighting, to the fluidity, to the shot choices. Those fight scenes that everyone praised as the best out of the entire franchise? Yeah, even those were improved upon in the movie. It was just that good. There's not really a way that I can elaborate further without just showing you bits of the movie, so sadly we're gonna have to move on to the true ending. Since the end of the show, and especially since the movie came out, there have been a surge of people calling for a revival of the show, with things such as #ReviveRise and #SaveROTTMNT going around on multiple popular social media platforms such as Twitter and TikTok. Recently, even more fuel has been added to the flame when Rise won Nickelodeon's Best Animated Series at the Cartoon Base Awards for 2023. As previously stated, the show was not cancelled but instead paused, which leaves room for speculation of more seasons to come. Personally, I don't believe the show will be coming back, seeing as how it's been over for 4 years. But yeah, along with the fact that there's already another TMNT show going on, you know, the Mutant Mayhem one, it would be a lot of work to do that I do not believe Nickelodeon is willing to put in, even if it's what the fans really want. Sadly, that's all there is when it comes to the history, and most likely future, of Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. A show that gained a surplus of love all too late. Thank you guys for watching, I hope that you enjoyed the video. This is the first video that I've done in this style, so please let me know if you enjoyed it in the comments, and any criticism you may have would be greatly appreciated as well. If there's anything you would like to see a video about, I'm open to suggestions and would love to hear ideas. Thank you guys for all your support, and you will see me in the next video. Bye guys.